Hey, love bugs. Welcome back to Love Grind Season 2. I am so happy to be back on the mic and be with you. And I'm so happy that you tuned in. I've been gone for a while. I had to kill some time, if you know what I mean. And where was that? There was a lot of love addiction and a lot of codependency. If you're just tuning in to Love Grind, we are a podcast about love addiction and codependency and how to heal from that, how to move on after a breakup, how to love yourself, okay? If you haven't already, please get onto Facebook, Instagram, X, Snapchat, and view our page and get some content off there. I'm getting my content tonight from a wonderful site called loveyourself.com if you want to get on there and get some more in-depth content for what we're talking about tonight. Love bugs, I am so happy to be back doing Love Grind with you, and we have some great topics this season. So let's get right into it. As you know, I'm not a licensed therapist, love bugs, so anything I say are just tips and advice and trying to heal one another. You or anybody that you know are addicted to love or any other substance or alcohol, please feel free to reach out for professional help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, love bugs, okay? Welcome to Love Grind Season 2. Tonight we're going to talk about the first noble truth that is within yourself. And once you admit that you have a codependent problem and that you might have a love addiction, it is time to heal and let us heal together, okay? Let's get right into it, love bugs. Some of the ways in which we suffer are obvious, like hunger, pain, disappointment, and feeling separated or excluded. Some are less obvious love bugs, like our love addictions, our codependency. As much as we want to hold on to things, our relationship, people, and feelings that we do like, we always have to deal with some separation and loss, love bugs in our lives. There's suffering anytime we want things to be different than they are. So if you just suffered a breakup, which we all have, and heartbreak, we want that person back for a little while, not realizing that maybe it wasn't the most healthy relationship to be in. The first noble truth, love bugs, rests on the understanding that our lives are unsatisfactory, that due to the fact that our experiences are impertinent and impersonal. And they feel like that at the time, but we've all suffered a heartbreak one time or another. That means the way we experience and make sense of the world is constantly changing. We suffer because we keep expecting these temporary experiences to satisfy our cravings for pleasure or to avoid pain. I mean, sometimes people are only in our lives for a season, and sometimes it's better that that door's shut and that a new one has opened. It's been hard for me, but I am learning to love myself, and I have faced the noble truth, the first noble truth, in realizing that sometimes that change is good, love bugs. So remember that you're not alone, and we have changes. Many of us have suffered by trying and failing to control our dependencies, our habits, our addictions to love. We've used every kind of willpower, bargaining, planning, magical thinking, each time imagining the result would be different and beating ourselves up when it turned out the same. Like, why won't they take me back, right? How many times do we promise ourselves that we wouldn't message them, we wouldn't call them just one last time, I'm done? Never works out. They just tend to think you're pathetic, which is terrible, but it's the truth, love bugs. So use that no contact rule. How many times have we vowed to have no more one night stands, which is a huge part of love addiction and codependency, just trying to get that feeling of intimacy and love by running around sleeping with everybody? It never feels that whole. You have to look within, love bugs, in order for you to start to heal. How many times have we crossed our own boundaries and been consumed by shame? For me, tons of times. How many mornings do we wake up hating ourselves, vowing to never do it again? How many times do we attempt to cure our addictions from therapy with self-help books, with podcasts, with YouTube videos, trying to not feel so much shame on our relationship? How many times do we follow our love addiction and our codependency into just the despair, hatred, and self-loathing? Love bugs, tons of times I've done that. And I'm just trying to teach you and myself to love me and understand that without doing that, no one can love me the way I want them to. And it's so beautiful when you shake that shame off about your relationship. Addiction is suffering, and we suffer when we obsess, when we cling and grasp onto all of the diffusions of addictions. And we do, love bugs. Our experiences of the world are caught into this prison of suffering, and we don't want that. Life is beautiful. And once you come out of that prison of your own mind and shame, you can see clearly, okay? Liberation comes when we gain a clear understanding of where our real power lies and where we are throwing it away. And the noble truth is where our great empowerment lies. For trauma and attachment injury, that's a big thing with love addiction and codependency, love bugs. For many of us, suffering also exists as trauma. Trauma is often described as a psychological damage that occurs after living through an extremely frightening or distressing event, like a breakup. Like with my breakup, it caused me to be displaced and alone. And that was a lot of trauma for me, but I'm getting better now and I'm healing. Trauma can come from childhood experience, events in your adulthood, love bugs. Remember that? And it frequently becomes life threatening. You're doing risque things in order to feel that love connection again. Generally, the more terror and hopelessness we felt at that time, the longer the terror lasts. So, have your first noble truth and come out of that terror and that trauma can have the same impact. It's defined as an emotional wound to a core relationship with a significant other or a caregiver or even a family member. The terror injury may show up as a hesitation to trust people or to start a new relationship. It's been long enough for me, love bugs. It's time to get out back in that dating pool. You should always do whatever is most compassionate for yourself in the moment and seek outside help when you need it. So give yourself some grace, give yourself some time to heal, give yourself some time to start dating again. Understand that if you left a long term relationship or even a short one, that it takes time to rid yourself and purge yourself from that person and their habits, okay? Because it does take time. I mean, you committed yourself to that person. So just make sure you give yourself grace, love bugs in that area. We can become socially isolated and withdrawn. That was me. Just stick to myself. I felt embarrassed about how I treated that other person or embarrassed how they were allowed to treat me. Overwhelming fear and anxiety, detachment and isolation, shame and anger may become background states of our activities. All right, they hurt us socially. We can't interact with people we are seeing clearly. And if you just suffered a breakup, give yourself some time. You'll get back out there, okay? Trauma and attachment issues can certainly lead to fear, anger, and anxiety. If you don't face the first noble truth, you can't just dig deeper into yourself. Many of us turn to addictive substances in order to heal that hurt. I know that I did, and it didn't help. It just made me more obsessive and more stalkerish, which is crazy. Don't ever stalk, love bugs. While this may have provided some temporary relief, okay, at the time it did nothing to actually heal the pain that we felt during our trauma and our breakup. And it often leads to more pain because on top of that heartbreak, you're now juggling a substance abuse problem or an alcohol problem, and that is a way bigger horse to ride than the one that you initially started with, which is your heartbreak. Just give yourself some grace and some time and understand that when you face the first noble truth, which is that you're going to be fine, that time heals, that you are much better than that relationship, whether it was good or bad, whether you were at fault most of the time or where you weren't, or if it was 50-50, know that things get better if you put the effort into it. And you're doing that by listening to this podcast and tuning in here. We're going to learn together and learn to love again and learn to not be so codependent. It's okay to break free of somebody and be okay. You know that, love bugs. And we're going to learn together with each other how to be healthy, how to have great boundaries, and how to love once again. Okay? So, with all my heart, I am going to see you next week, and I hope you're using all the decisions you make with your heart and with your love and with compassion and empathy. And until next time, love bugs, I'm out. Take care.